Oh, here we go again. What is doing this? Another scorcher, another hot one. The feels like temperature is well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit today, which, as I've said in previous videos, that's the South. You can't complain about heat if you're living in the South and it's the summer. So that's where we're at, but I'm excited. I've finished tilling out I'm going to call it the sunflower patch area. So if you've checked out my previous videos real quick, something that I've done, this area here behind the garden shed, which is eventually going to be kind of a full-fledged orchard. We've already got some berries going, apple trees, a fig tree, things like that. It's going to be a full orchard eventually one day, but there was some brush that we cleared out and it was in pretty bad shape. The brush has been cleared out to great effect. I'm very happy about that. But the ground underneath it is sketchy, to say the least. I say industrial waste, but there's just years and years, decades worth of just barn junk thrown under there or left under there. So wooden slats, rotted out sheet metal panels, cans of paint, things like that. I've tried to clear as much of it away as possible, but still the ground itself isn't something I would trust to grow food out of, edibles, right away. So I want to find some way to get out as much of those toxins as possible. And one of the ways that I've discovered is sunflower seeds. Sunflowers are I think I'm saying this right, a bioaccumulator. In other words, they suck up toxins and they suck up unhealthy particulates from the ground. That's something that they're known for. They even grow them in areas where there's been nuclear fallout because they can help kind of take in the radiation and suck it out of the ground. Now, obviously, you don't want to consume the seeds from sunflowers that have been planted in that area. I think the best practice in the permaculture world is to compost these sunflowers in a separate area or even burn them. I'll need to do more research on that front, but I'm going to just cover that whole area, that whole patch with sunflowers. And one thing that you can do, I've known a lot of people to do this to great effect, is just use birdseed, sunflowers from birdseed. This is big bag of black oil sunflower seeds that I'm going to use to plant. A lot of people will buy sunflower special in little seed packets. You don't need to. I've known plenty of people that have just used this stuff to great effect. Now, if you want some really nice ornamental sunflowers, obviously you're going to spend more on a nice little packet of it. But if you just want to use sunflowers as a cover crop, get yourself a bag of sunflower birdseed. Since I'm doing a cover crop of sunflower seed, and again, this isn't decorative for anything other than just covering a bunch of ground, I'm just going to broadcast the seeds. Now, I've been told you want to give it a light broadcast when you're dealing with sunflower seeds, because if it's too dense, if you seed it in too densely, the stalks of the sunflowers will be too thin just because they're overcrowded. So I'm just going to try and give this area a light broadcast of the sunflower seeds and then rake it over. Now we wait. I'm going to be rewatering this often. I probably shouldn't be walking on it. I'll be rewatering this area often. In general, I'll probably only water it in the evenings, maybe in the mornings. If you water it in the middle of the day, all that water will just immediately evaporate. So I'll give it deep waterings in the evenings and cross my fingers. If you want to see somebody that did this to great effect, this method, my friend Brian from Flannel Farms did this. I think it was last year. I'll have a link to the video, but he did this method. His ground may have been better, but he just broadcast sunflower seeds from a bag of bird food, and it worked out great. There was incredible there's incredible sunflowers that popped up because of it. So we'll see. Cross your fingers for us. How you doing, gang? You keeping cool? Plenty of water, shade, food, fresh grass. I think you're in a good place for now. They're getting bigger. They're getting lots bigger, and it's only a matter of time before they're ready to start walking around in the main run, but still a little bit too small, still very easy for them to slip through this Premier 1 fence, which I've been running into some issues. I'll get into it on the south end of the barn. I do not want them exposed just quite yet. So in some unfortunate news, we recently lost one of our layers. Broody hen is actually Lacey. She had been broody for a while. We lost her to a predator during the daytime in the egg box, which is unfortunate for a couple of reasons. And I've got some ideas on how to combat it. So we've run into predator issues throughout the years on our chickens. Some years have been worse than others, but in general, I think we have a pretty good program for keeping those predators at bay and keeping our livestock deaths to a minimum. However, this particular scenario presents a little bit of a conundrum, and I'll tell you why. So in the evenings, we always have the fence on, the Premier 1 fence. As you can see, it stretches for roughly about a quarter acre, at least here on the south end. And over there on the north end, it's just a little bit around the north end of the barn. It's just maybe a tenth of an acre. It's not that big at all. And it's been effective at night. It does, by and large, keep raccoons, skunks. It keeps them away. It's too much trouble. They don't want to deal with it. However, during the day, we do not turn it on. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, we've got a toddler running around. And if a toddler were to touch this hot fence, that would not be good. It does strike very hard, and we do not want to run the risk of him getting electrocuted by this. Number two, we've lost turkeys to the electric fence in the past. I think it was 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, where we had a tom turkey get caught up in the fence during the day when he was just kind of walking around. And these toms are big, lumbering creatures, and sometimes they'll get their feet caught in the fence. Well, like I said, I think it was maybe 1.5 years ago, one of our toms got caught in the fence when it was on during the day, and he wasn't able to get out. He struggled. He went deeper into the fence, and he ended up getting fried to death, basically. It killed him. We didn't have the setup to process him at the time, so we essentially just lost the tom turkey. 40 pounds of beautiful turkey meat. We lost it to the electric fence. So those are the primary reasons I will not turn the fence on during the day anymore. So really the only threat during the day is aerial predators, but we've actually kind of stopped running into that problem because we've given the chickens plenty of places to hide and camp out should they get an aerial predator roam the skies up above. Specifically this pig shelter here we had for Frankenbeans a few years back. If the chickens see a hawk, they can run under that, or run in here under the lean-to, or run under all these assorted plants that we have. And that's been a good solution for the aerial predators. We haven't lost a chicken to aerial predation now in several months. So I thought we were in a good place in terms of predators and not dealing with them. When it happened the other day during the day, it kind of presented a puzzle to us. Holly and I had been running errands, and so we weren't here when it happened, but in the morning, I think it was 4 days ago in the morning, I saw Lacey, our broody hen. She was in there, as she always is, just sitting. I'm waiting for her to break her broody. But in the the evening when I went to collect eggs, she had been eaten. Her head was missing and her innards were opened up. And I saw that and I was like, oh no, here we go again. What is doing this? That kind of kill usually is indicative of something like a raccoon or a skunk or a weasel. But I talked to my parents. They were actually home and they said they had seen a skunk wandering around during the afternoon. It was like 4 or 5. Kind of weird for skunks. They're normally nocturnal animals, but they saw a skunk wandering around over by the barn. I don't have my cameras on during the day either, so I wasn't able to verify, but I'm almost dead positive that we were dealing with the skunk. That skunk that my parents saw was the culprit. So I was faced with a bit of a conundrum. What do? I don't turn on the fence during the day. How am I going to stop this skunk from coming in and just making a meal out of any chicken that's in the laying boxes? What am I going to do? Now, I'm not very concerned about the chickens just wandering around. If a skunk comes up to them and they're out here in the run, they're just going to run away. A skunk's not going to even bother trying to chase them down. But if a chicken is in the coop and stuck inside one of the egg boxes, that chicken has very little defense against a skunk that comes in and corners them essentially and pounces them. So I did some research and I found out that a lot of people recommended putting in very strongly scented things around your chickens because skunks, raccoons, they shy away whenever there's something with a really intense scent, a scent that they don't enjoy. So a lot of people had mentioned mothballs. Other people mentioned rags soaked in ammonia, but one suggestion that I'd seen mentioned several times in my research was homemade pepper spray. So what I did was I took a couple teaspoons of cayenne pepper powder, about a half a bottle of the red hot Tabasco sauce, a little bit of dish soap and water, and I put it in the spray bottle and just shook it up, and I've been spraying around the perimeter of the chicken area for the past few days. Thankfully, there haven't been any deaths. So does this homemade pepper spray work? Maybe it does. So far I haven't lost any more chickens. I'm going to continue using it. And for good measure, I'm actually taking just the raw cayenne pepper itself and spreading it around the actual entrance to the coop. The chickens don't care about the scent. Birds don't have heat receptors. They're not fazed by really intense peppers, so it doesn't stop the birds from coming in at all. So I've just been sprinkling this pepper powder around the entrance to the coop as an extra measure of defense. Like I said, it seems to be working in that I haven't lost any more chickens during the day since I started using this stuff. So I'm going to keep using it. Pretty simple midweek projects today, but although they were simple projects, the hope is that they will pay off in a big way. The dividends will be more than worth it. Sunflower patch, we really want to get that going, and less dead chickens, we want to get that going as well. So far so good. It's been a really hot day, but I'll be honest, I kind of like working out in the heat as long as I'm covered up pretty well. You'll note that I wear, when it's really hot like this, I'll switch from t-shirts to long sleeve shirts. What I like to do is wear long sleeve white shirts. That helps on these really nasty, hot, sunny days. And of course, a big floppy straw hat and plenty of fluids, plenty of water, and I'm in a pretty good spot. Thanks for hanging out with us today on this pretty simple Work With Me Wednesday. And until we see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.